So the Disability Housing Centre is the exclusive tenant and SIL sourcing branch of SDA Smart Homes Australia. They only tenant properties for our investors. And we go about doing that by some traditional marketing that you would see in normal real estate, like Housing Hub, nest.com.au, these sort of listing websites. We also have, over the years, done a lot of education to the SIL providers and support coordinators about what SDA is and how they can access that funding for their clients. In the early days, it was a very unknown entity and people were not quite sure what they needed to do to go about getting the funding so the participants could live in the properties. So we spent years educating the pool coordinators on how to do that so we could then move them hopefully into our properties for our investors. We're always attending expos, networking events, hosting a lot of networking events. It's very much about connections in the disability community. Our properties usually have 2 or 3 NDIS participants living in them. That's the ideal sort of ratio. It's a ratio that we know the NDIS, until there's evidence otherwise, really default to funding for a couple of reasons. One, it's slightly more cost effective for them to have them in a home sharing with 1 or 2 other people. It's also often good for the actual participants themselves. Some of them really love that social aspect of living with other people. Of course, there's participants that also want to live solo, and there's plenty of property options available for those participants as well. We focus on providing properties that have 2 or 3 participants sharing. The SIL providers that we collaborate with provide the care to the individual participants. Collaborated with over 50 SIL providers across Queensland at this stage. So we're quite agnostic when it comes to the SIL that we work with, and that's to give choice and control to the participant. Yeah, the OOA room is used sometimes as a bedroom / office. So there may be an inactive overnight shift or an active overnight shift depending on the participant's needs. But the participants in our properties are funded to have their care provided 24/7. Yeah, so on our tenancy expression of interest, we ask quite a few questions about the participant, their likes, their dislikes, their interests, their personality, their lifestyle. Nothing super invasive, but just so we can get a better understanding of who they are as a person. For example, they might have a dog, and that helps us match the participant to the property and also the other participants living in the property. We also do one-on-one meetings with each of the participants before they move in. If there's already an existing tenant, we'll take the participant and their decision makers to the house so they can meet. Might meet out for a coffee somewhere just to socialise and see if everyone's going to get along prior to them moving in. If a participant vacates a property, as long as we've been claiming the SDA funds to begin with, we can continue to claim those SDA funds for up to 60 days. And the NDIS have deliberately got this structure in place because they know that these properties are very unique and therefore they can have quite a high mortgage attached to them. And that really helps the investor to cover the mortgage while we are then in the background looking for another participant to occupy that bedroom.